So we're here to talk about Galatians, the rest of Galatians chapter 1, and Reverend Latha Ravi is here with us to try and pick apart this passage a little bit more. So we're getting a conversation going, which is really exciting. So we're going to read through the rest of chapter 1 and really excited about what this text has to offer for us today. So we'll start in verse 11. For I want you to know, brothers and sisters, that the gospel that was proclaimed by me is not of human origin. For I did not receive it from a human source, nor was I taught it, but I received it through the revelation of Jesus Christ. You have heard, no doubt, of my earlier life in Judaism. I was violently persecuting the church of God and trying to destroy it. I advanced in Judaism beyond many among my people of the same age, for I was far more zealous for the traditions of my ancestors. But when God, who had set me apart before I was born and called me through his grace, was pleased to reveal his Son to me, so I might proclaim him among the Gentiles. I did not confer with any human being, nor did I go up to Jerusalem to those who were already apostles before me, but I went away at once to Arabia, and afterwards I returned to Damascus. Then after 3 years I did go up to Jerusalem and visit Cephas, and stayed with him 15 days. But I did not see any other apostle except James, the Lord's brother. And what I am writing to you, before God I do not lie. Then I went to the regions of Syria and Cilicia, and I was still unknown by sight to the churches of Judea that are in Christ. They only heard it said, the one who formerly was persecuting us is now proclaiming the faith he once tried to destroy, and they glorify God because of me. So that's the end of chapter 1. So we're just going to have a discussion a little bit about what those passages may mean for us and what we can take from them in the letter that Paul wrote to the church in Galatia.
It's one of my favorite letters, Galatians. And one of the things that I think is really important about this text that you just read was that verse 15 when he said, but God has set me apart from birth and called me through his grace. He was pleased to reveal his Son to me. Was a lot of controversy after Jesus' death on who was really an apostle and who wasn't. Mm-hmm. And if you happen to read Luke and Acts, you'd notice that Luke stresses the point that he's just a worker for Christ and not an apostle. With the word apostle comes a certain bit of authority. Mm-hmm. And Luke's point of view was that Paul didn't walk with Jesus, didn't minister with Jesus. He wasn't present with Jesus as Jesus ministered to people, so he didn't deserve that title of apostle. And Paul was saying that he had been called personally by God. It was his own revelation, and that was really important for him to share and to proclaim his authority for writing to the Galatians.
Yeah. Well, that notion of calling, I think, is really important, and Paul expressing his calling in this testimony is something that really stands out to me. The fact that Paul's so excited that he's been called and that God has a specific purpose for him. And, I think that the way he expresses that is by sharing his own story and his own experiences. Yes. And that's the way that he tries to convince the church in Galatia that he has this authentic sort of call on his life.
Yes.
And
John, the thing that Luke is, you can tell, already they're starting to put, limitations and boundaries and, are you good enough? Are you worthy enough? Do you fit into our community? Already, Jesus probably had been dead maybe and resurrected maybe 30, 40 years, and you can see how it's starting to get very closed in.
Yeah. It's tough not to start putting parameters around what we believe. It's always difficult to allow voices to speak authentically and for people to have their own experiences of faith. And Paul's story on the road to Damascus, I think, is a story where God can speak to us new things all the time. And you never know where we might encounter the Spirit and have that be a completely life-changing experience for us. So I want to thank you for joining us. And again, our services will start on March 10th at 7 p.m. So we hope to see you there in Hickey Hall, and bring a friend. We're just spending these couple of moments leading up to March 10th unpacking this book of Galatians, because we think it has a lot to say to us as church planters and people who are looking to start new communities of faith, because we're asking the same kinds of questions. What is it okay to do? What is it not okay to do? Where does this gospel lead us? Where are we called? So we hope that by looking at this book in the next 2 weeks to really get a grasp on what it means to be called by God and set apart for this ministry. So thanks so much.
Thanks,
Appreciate
John.
it. Yeah.